Hey, Phil, how's your wife doing?
Good.
Um, did you have a good weekend?
Yep.
How are you doing now, Phil?
Fine.
He's terrible at this.
Yeah, my answers are way too short. And if you were to do that in the IELTS, you're not going to give yourself an opportunity to show the examiner just how good you are. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly. I'm Michael.
And I'm Phil, and you're watching the IELTS Grind.
Okay, so first thing that we're going to be doing is I'm going to be having some questions asked.
Yeah, I'm going to ask some questions, or someone's going to ask you some questions. And we're going to show the difference between kind of what I was doing at the beginning of the video and what you need to be doing. Okay. So let's do that.
Okay.
Hello, Michael.
Who said that?
This is not the voice of God. God was too expensive. This is the voice of Phil.
Oh no.
Let's talk about socks, Michael.
Socks.
How often do you buy socks?
Never.
That's not good enough.
I hardly ever buy socks. I think I buy socks like once every 3 or 4 months. It's not a priority.
Okay, better. Have you ever spent a lot of money on socks?
Yes.
Try again.
I once spent 500 RMB on socks. I was ripped off. I went to the store, and this was when I first moved to China, and I tried to buy some socks, and they were like, "Oh, 500 RMB." I'm like, "Oh, that's fine." It wasn't fine.
Why are socks so popular all over the world?
That's an interesting question, and I have never thought of it before. I think socks are popular around the world because they're comfortable.
Better. Would you ever buy socks as a gift?
No. I mean,
Sorry, I fell asleep there. Try again.
I would probably never buy socks unless it's for someone I don't like. It's a terrible gift. Yeah. Phil, I think I'll buy you some socks.
Oh, thanks for that. Okay, let's move on. Are doctors in your country paid enough?
Ugh. I think that they're overpaid.
Why?
Oh, because, doctors in America can make huge amounts of money. It's ridiculous how much money they can make. Now, I know that part of that is because their schooling is very expensive, but I still think that they're paid way more than they're worth.
Okay, better. What responsibilities do doctors have?
Many.
Care to share any of those with me?
So, doctors have a lot of responsibilities. They have to help diagnose the patient. They need to find out what's wrong with the patient, They also need to help make the patient feel well. And that's both physically, giving them medicine, but also emotionally. They need to give them support. And I think those are the primary ones. Oh, and of course, charge lots of money.
How have they changed?
Doctors have changed a lot. Like a couple hundred years ago, medicine was putting leeches on you or cutting your veins to bleed you. They don't do that anymore. I mean, they do sometimes still use leeches, but not in the same way. Now doctors have a lot more tools that they can use. They can help cure most illnesses, even cancer, if they catch it early enough.
What traits does a good doctor need?
They need to be kind, patient, definitely patient. I think they probably need to be as patient as teachers. And Smart. I would not want a dumb doctor.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about healthcare.
Ugh.
Does your country provide universal healthcare?
No.
Crickets.
So no, America. I'm an American. America does not really supply universal health care. They have expanded the healthcare options with Obamacare, or the Affordable Health Care Act, which is its real name. Um, but yeah, we don't have universal health care like they do here, which is why I'm here.
How can the healthcare in your country be improved?
Oh, there's so many things. First of all, they can make it affordable. They can also decouple it or separate it from employment. Right now in America, to have insurance, most of the time you need to get it through your employer. You need to get it from your job or your work. And that's ridiculous. If you're unemployed, you don't have insurance. They need to make it fair so that everyone gets equal treatment. And they need to take a lot of the power away from the insurance companies. That's why we have such expensive medicine over there. You can find some medicine in Africa and in Canada that's the same medicine but much cheaper. And this is all because our healthcare system sucks.
Should healthcare be universal?
Yes, I believe it should be, even though it would be very expensive. I think healthcare is a right. I think it's something that everyone should have. And because of that, I think it should be universal.
Okay.
Was that good enough? Is my judgment over? Did I pass?
Barely.
So, Phil, welcome back.
Yeah, well, I just popped out to the shop. Were you having a conversation with someone?
With myself.
Okay, so as you can see, the way that Michael answered some of those questions was a lot shorter than others. Obviously, we were sort of exaggerating that a little bit. It's not often that a student will just give one-word answers, but it is important to expand on your answers. But exactly how do we do that in English?
Well, first things first, getting the structure of your answer down is really important. So in writing, we have your topic sentence, and then you have your supporting details that all connect to your topic sentence.
For example, so if the question was, how important is combating pollution, a topic sentence would be, I believe combating pollution is extremely important for reason X and Y, possibly. And then we'd go on and support that topic sentence. That's what we did.
Exactly, exactly. And speaking in English is the same way. We are very direct. So you should always answer the question first, and then after that, give your supporting details.
Yeah, and this is kind of tricky. If you come from a different language, often that's not the way that you approach things. And this is a real problem that many students have. If you find yourself translating from your native language into English, it's going to trip you up. So this is why we always say it, you've got to start thinking in English. This is what we mean. You've got to think in the way that we speak. Yeah.
And that's why reading and watching TV shows is so important.
Yeah, essential,
Yeah.
So apart from being direct and presenting your main points at the beginning of your answer, what do we do next exactly?
Well, after you answer the question, your supporting details usually are going to be explanations.
Yeah.
You know, one thing is if you hear why, that means that your answer is probably not extended enough.
Yeah, so I said that in our practice. I said why for something. And that's, if you hear that a lot, then you've got to expand a bit more.
Yeah, you should probably be expanding more.
So yeah, you're going to explain. So, phrases like by that I mean, or that is to say, or for example, adding examples as well. Yeah.
You can also include personal stories. Like I talked about when I was ripped off when I spent a lot of money on socks. By the way, do you think that was real? Leave in the comments if you think that was a real story. How gullible am I?
They look like expensive they look like expensive socks, I mean to say. Yes, and also on this point of personal stories, they don't have to be true. They don't have to be your stories. If you've got a friend who's kind of lives a very exciting life.
He buys expensive socks.
Yeah, you can steal life experiences from your friends. Remember, this is not a real test of how cool you are. It's an English test.
Yes. So, and you can take his stories and say it as your own. Yeah. Oh, this one time I totally did this thing. The examiner doesn't know that you didn't do it. Yeah.
So apart from explaining points, you can also justify them. The reason why you bought the expensive socks, because you were a stupid traveller. Was that the reason you used? I can't remember.
I think those are the exact words I used. Yes.
And then also there's structures where you talk about a reason or a result, causes and effects. These are also ways that you can support your main points.
Okay. But you should always be connecting them together,
yeah,
right?
Always, yeah.
Yeah. Can you think of any examples from what we just talked about where I was connecting things well?
Well, when we were talking about healthcare in the United States...
So you were there.
Oh! You got me. So you were talking about that, and I think perhaps there you were a lot more fluent in your answers, and you really did explain things. And I think you were talking about... I think you were talking about insurance companies, and you were explaining why it was expensive. So you were linking your ideas there. Yeah.
And by the way, if you guys didn't notice, I was doing this for your benefit. I used a lot of higher level words, but in the same sentence, I would explain them. This happens a lot in reading, but I see a lot of students not realizing when it's happening. So if you want, you can go back and see which high level words I said, write them down, and then did I say the meaning or not? And of course, we will be highlighting them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is also a good point because some students, they may use a term and the examiner's not always sure if they're using it correctly. So if you can go and then explain what it means and paraphrase that, say it in another way, that's showing an even greater ability in English. So this is something you should get in the habit of doing. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So the main message of today's video is you've got to expand on your answers, and the best way to do that is to go through and use examples, justify your points, and link your ideas together.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.
Yeah, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you've got any questions at all, leave us a comment. We always get back to every comment that we can. Yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.